that we do on Consumers Corner, right?
Oh, it's 2 words. Help
me with it.
people.
Help people. Boom. That's it. I mean, that's really all you need to say, right?
Pretty much. I mean, some people might be like, okay, great. Can you give me a hand walking my dog? I don't do that.
Right.
But the reality is that, yeah, actually I've got one video that's, what is Consumers Corner? And that's actually kind of, I don't remember what I did with that. That's what it was, is I took about 10 minutes of a first video and I put it on there. And then I've got obviously the people that haven't subscribed to the show, they can listen to a little speech. But I say on there, this is not easy to dial all in.
Right.
Like it's funny because I remember when I first started thinking about it, I was watching actually Joe Rogan. Do you ever watch Joe Rogan?
Oh yeah, every once in a while.
I was watching him, and of course I don't, we do a completely different show.
Right.
But I was watching him and I was just like, that's what I'm going to do. And now I'm like, holy cow, man, this is not easy.
No.
It's a lot to dial in.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say it this way, but for the amount of money that I spent on this and it not being dialed in, it's like, whoa, there's a lot more to dial in, and we're getting it all dialed in. And, I was telling you just a few minutes ago, we've got these guys coming in next week to upgrade the software and get all that fixed. And
right.
we've got little technical issues going on. But it's awesome because once it's all working properly, it's going to be, people actually hear the music.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. That first and foremost.
Yeah. And people will probably not see, one of the problems that we have is we click on this thing that says connect, and then it has a little button that pops up and says go live. So it's the way it's supposed to work is that you connect to YouTube, and then it says, hey, Consumers Corner is getting ready to go live.
Yeah.
And then you click go live and it goes live. Well, now it just goes live.
Great.
So people that have watched the video, they're like, okay, I see this neon sign that says Consumers Corner, and I hear Patrick in the background. Turn it up, turn it up.
That's awesome.
It's so funny, yeah. So we're getting it dialed in, and there was one time we were doing a show, and I don't remember what happened, but I completely forgot the cameras were on me, right?
Yeah.
And I don't remember what exactly happened, but I was like, and then I was like, oh, wait a minute, I'm on camera.
Yeah.
So
the growing pains, those learning curves.
Yeah,
You're
for
getting
sure.
there.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been tuning in since you started it, and I'll tell you what, it gets better and better every time you do it.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate
100%.
that.
Yeah, no problem.
And for those of that didn't see you the last time because that one got messed up.
Yeah, I've been on the show before.
You have, actually. Yeah. This is John
Hormachea. I'm with a company.
I didn't want to say Hormachea because I didn't want to hack it.
It's okay. It's a long name. I don't ever hold that against anybody. Just know that. So John Hormachea. I'm with a company here in Denver called Anchor Creative. I've been a creative professional for about the last decade here in Denver. I do a lot of graphic design, both in print and digital. I do WordPress websites, photography, really any creative project that anybody has a need for somebody like me to help them with.
Yeah.
I jump in and do it, and I've been doing that for a while.
And you've actually helped me a little, not a lot. You've helped me a little with my stuff.
Yep.
And nothing that you've actually helped me with is really up yet, which
Not yet.
I want people to, if they go there and go, that's me and my developers,
There you go.
other developers. Anyway, so the stuff that you put up is awesome, and
Thank you.
or that we're going to put up that you've done is awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
So to backtrack, what today I just want to talk about a little bit is that and it's going to tie into what you just talked about.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, the other thing that we've talked about is you possibly helping me co-host the show.
Sure.
Or maybe if I go on vacation, you can do the show.
Lead the charge, yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of another thing that we've talked about that I'm really looking forward to. So, but today I want to talk a little bit about, how to avoid getting ripped off by online companies. And when I say online companies, there's a whole plethora of things we can talk about. And as a matter of fact, before we get too far into this, if you're watching and you would like to comment on what we're talking about, or if you have a problem with another company, or you're having a problem with a company, or you're just not getting anywhere and you want to call and listen, we're going to listen to your complaint. We're going to try to help you get some resolution. Or if you just want to, talk about anything, just call in. And the number is 866-966-2287. That's 866-966-2287. Or you can actually even just text us. If you don't really want to be live, you can text us. Same number, 866-966-2287. And we'll read your text on the air here, and we'll talk about it. We won't mention any names if you don't want.
Yep.
Whatever you want to do. Anyway, long and short of it, I want to make sure that people understand how to avoid getting burned by online businesses.
Right.
And so this is a topic that really is good for, it's really more for businesses, right? But it's also a topic for consumers because at some point we're all a consumer in some way online, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So today I wanted to talk about that because I just think that there are so many ways that people don't realize they can get ripped off online. I mean, it's crazy. It's actually it's nuts how much that happens.
Yeah.
And there was one of them. The first one I wanted to talk about was for people that if you've ever purchased a domain, and you had intentions of starting a website, or you have maybe a personal website and you've purchased a domain, there's a company out there. I'm not going to mention their name, but there is a company out there that really completely unethical advertising, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Especially because you can read it and you can realize, but it's all in extremely fine print on the bottom of the email that that it isn't even really even clear saying this is a promotional advertisement.
Right.
But it basically says at the top of this email, it says important notice, expiration notice, expiration date, and then it has your domain name and your address and your name and all that good stuff. And then this is an important expiration notification that notifies you about the expiration notice of your domain registration for whatever the domain name is, search engine optimization submission.
Mm-hmm.
So now all of a sudden it's like people get this and they think, oh my gosh, I can't let it expire. And it's $86.
Yep.
It went from 65 to 86.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that there was a gal that I ran her website, and we were just talking a few months ago, and we were talking on, and she said, I got this email, I paid it, I just didn't want it to expire. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute, hold on, what did you get? She's like, yeah, I got this email. She goes, I've been paying it every year. Every year I get this email, it's going to expire, and I pay it. And I'm like, no, hold on. Yeah. that's wait a minute. Let me see what that is. And she forwarded it to me, and it was this. Right. It was this company. And I'm sure they're not based in the U.S. because I think that, and that's the other thing that people should be aware of.
Yeah.
Companies that are not based in the U.S. can get away with so much more because our FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, they're not going to. What can they do to them?
They can't do it. Yeah. What are they?
There's
gonna do?
nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
They're not going to waste their time.
And the reality is, this probably breaks every rule in the Federal Trade Commission.
Oh yeah.
Because it doesn't immediately say this is a sponsored advertisement or this is an advertisement.
Right.
So I'm sure they're out of the country. Number one.
Mm-hmm.
And so they charge this money and they do nothing for it.
Yeah.
And so she had told me that she had actually paid it like for 3 or 4 years. So she spent $300 or $400 on nothing.
Right.
Just a scam. And so the way to avoid this, by the way, if you want to know how to avoid this, if you're thinking about registering a domain name, or if you already have a domain name, you need to purchase that domain name or switch it to a private, right? How do you, is that?
You can set up, I actually just had this issue come up with a client where we had to turn off the privacy protection. That's what it is. It's called privacy protection. Yeah. So that you can have all your information kind of under lock and key. Nobody's going to be taking it and doing these scammy emails trying to get money out of you for a domain that you already have registered and have already paid for and don't need to pay for again. And if you're not the type of person that's, that dialed into the tech side of it, hopefully you have a web developer, and really all it takes is just ask your web developer.
Sure.
Say, hey Patrick, I got this email. Is this real, or do I need to worry about this? And we'll tell you. People like me and Patrick will know right away. No, don't pay that, or yeah, that's legitimate, and we'll figure out how to figure it out. So
yeah, exactly. So speaking of which, do I dare say the name? There is a company out there. It's not your mommy. That charges for domain names, and quite frankly, I'm not a fan of the company at all. I used to have all my domain names there. I used to have all my sites hosted there. I moved my hosting away from them, which was the best decision I ever made, because all of a sudden my websites were a lot faster, a lot more reliable. And then I eventually moved all my domain names away because they were almost double what, say, Google Domains charges.
Right.
And Google Domains, they actually include privacy,
right,
for the price. Where this company actually charges you another like $8 or $10. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I just am so not into that company. I don't know how you feel about it. But
I'm actually moving away from them as well. I used to host a lot of websites through them, and in recent history, I've just found that it's becoming more a la carte. You're not getting SSL with your domain purchases. You're not getting certain things that should be standard, in my opinion, because people are spending good money with you all year round, and hopefully they're going to keep their business with you. So why wouldn't you do something to, keep that on point? But I've actually moved over to another vendor recently, and I've been building sites. So it's kind of changed my process a little bit in recent history, but it's been a lot better because, like you, it's got, encryption built into it, and everything is ready to go right out of the gate instead of having to, piecemeal it together and put together a build that's a lot bigger.
Yeah. And it's getting that way, isn't it? I
Yeah.
mean, most of these companies that are starting up are getting to the point where everything is right out of the box. Your SSL certificate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about getting domains, but I'm sure you can.
Yeah.
The only thing that fears me, like with the company that I host with, and I know you know who they are, I'm not going to say their name,
Yep.
is that I fear that these companies build with the whole thought process of selling in the future.
Yeah.
And I get that. That's the American way.
Yeah.
But every time that happens, some horrible company purchases them and then just drives it into the ground.
Yeah. It starts with good intention for sure. I think that people aren't necessarily trying to do something that's going to hurt the consumer or hurt other businesses. But you're right, when somebody else with a bigger wallet comes along and purchases that company and takes the standards that they set up and starts to abuse them, that's when it becomes a problem for sure.
It sucks because then you got to find another host.
Yep.
And here's the cool part talking about this is that if you don't have a developer, that's why you need one.
Yeah.
Because they take all that hassle away.
Yep.
Look, we have your best interest at heart. Now I'm saying we because I have developed a lot of websites. I've actually been turning a lot of my clients over to you.
Yes.
And I will tell you that I've gone through a multitude of different hosting companies, and each one does something a little bit different.
Right.
But I've noticed that they are all starting to get they're really getting good at what they do.
Mm-hmm.
I did try a company. I'm not going to mention their name, but I would never use them again. How do I draw an analogy to them? It's kind of like a part on a car. Fly. I'm not going to say the name. You know who they are?
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Like their customer service, dude, was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like you would like, as a developer, you want a hosting company that if you have an issue that somebody can resolve it quickly.
Yes.
And I would get messages, sorry, we're overwhelmed. We'll get back with you as soon as possible. And it'd be the next day.
No.
And I'm like, no, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I switched over to them from who I'm with right now, actually started with them, and then I switched over to them was because there was a couple things that I couldn't do over here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I call them like, are you sure I can't do this? They said, we actually changed it. You can do that here.
Oh, there you go.
So then I was like, boom, I'm gone.
Awesome.
And I could tell that company was definitely gearing up to try to sell it.
You
could just tell. I don't know. I shouldn't say that for sure because I don't know for sure, but that's the at least the feeling that I got was that they were building it to gear it up to sell it. So
right.
So anyway, if you're going to purchase a domain name, that's the other thing I got to mention too, is that if you don't purchase the privacy protection, now everybody and their brother, they get notification. I don't know where do they buy this stuff, but I can remember that I got like all kinds of marketing stuff from like credit card processing companies and deluxe checks, and because they look at it and go, oh, that's a business, and they're gonna try to market. I got so much stuff that I literally had to sit down one day, and I know that this seems crazy, but I don't get mail in my home. I actually get it at my not a post office box, but like a UPS store.
Sure,
that's my office mail because I don't want to deal with crazy people. There's some crazy people out there.
Yep, and
I don't want some guy who I exposed online that he's a fraud or not a good company to know where to find me, right? So anyway, that's probably a little more information that I really need to tell. But the reality is that's why I do it that way.
Right.
And I have a little box that I rent, and it costs me a pretty penny. Right. And it's awesome. I love it because they can send me my mail. I never go there. They send me my mail. And but there was a time that I went there, and my box was just full of marketing stuff. And I literally had to call each one of them. And they all have it set up to where there's a little code. You give them a little code, and they take you off their mailing list. So if you don't do the privacy part of it, what am I saying? If you don't do it, you're going to get inundated not only with, spam email and spam, stuff that is going to try to burn you, but you're also going to get inundated in your mailbox with companies trying to, market to you.
Yeah, your information gets sold. If you don't protect it, it gets sold. Yeah, it's valuable. It's valuable to these companies that buy those lists. They think that they're going to get a lead off of somebody, and they might, but
yeah,
Yeah,
and I'm sure there's some people that use it, but it just bugs me because it's like I've purchased hundreds of domain names.
Yeah,
and you too.
Yeah. I'm having a little PTSD about it right now.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. As a matter of fact, I let like 4 of them go just recently because I'm like, you know what? It's hard enough to build one and keep it going, let alone 50.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So as far as online marketing goes, I mean, that's one thing that people need to be careful of. Now, I'm going to get to the stuff that you do, but I think another thing that companies in particular need to be extremely, extremely careful of, and that is, and I get them every day, it drives me crazy that people will go to my website, one of my websites, and fill out a form and then put a link in to their website. Now, these forms are old forms.
Yeah.
They don't have the caption on them, and they don't have the confirmation. It just sends me the email. And I get inundated with people that they're trying to sell me, for $29.99 a month, we'll get you the first page on Google results. And I think a lot of companies that don't understand online marketing, first of all, there's a term called search engine optimization, right?
Yes. Yep.
And search engine optimization is not an easy task. It is very difficult to do.
Oh, yes.
And it costs thousands of dollars if you want somebody to get you on the first page of Google.
Yes.
Now, that's one thing. Let me add to that. For a search term that people are searching for, that's the second half of that sentence.
Right.
Because I've actually talked to some of these people, and they're like, yeah, I can get you on the first search page. I could probably get you number 1 for Asphalt Driveway Paving Company's Denver, Colorado 80444.
Yeah.
Right? Like, who's typing that in?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Nobody's typing that in.
Nobody.
So it's the key phrases and the keywords that people are typing in that everybody is competing for.
Yes.
And any company that tells you that they can get you first page search results on Google for $29.99 a month is not necessarily lying. They can do it, but it's not going to be a search term that's going to bring you any traffic.
Yeah. It's not going to be valuable in terms of what people are looking for.
Nobody's going to see it.
Yeah.
Nobody, like, they could send it to you. I had a guy actually send me a bunch of different key phrases, and I laughed at him. I'm like, yeah, how many people are searching for that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
what's the
5 in
number?
1 year.
Yeah. Maybe, if you're lucky.
And did they accidentally type it in? There's just so many different things. So when it comes to online marketing or marketing a company's business with a website,
right.
I think first of all that the main thing that companies need to know, and if you're thinking about starting a company, or you already have a company, number one, you definitely need a website. That today, if you don't have a website, you really don't exist.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
There are some people I think that get websites that, it's at least good to have a presence, right?
Yeah.
But I think there are some people that don't understand that, and they still think maybe the Yellow Pages works.
We're a little past that, I think.
Those are still used as boosters, by the way.
Yeah. I remember building a throne in a college elevator once with some yellow books. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Yellow Pages. Yeah, they deliver them to, like, I don't know why they do this, but at least when I was in college, they delivered a whole stack, like a pallet of them to the outside of this dorm up at CSU, and we ended up taking all of them and building a throne in the elevator with them, because who the hell uses a Yellow Pages anymore?
It's so funny. I get them at my house in the driveway.
Oh, yeah?
And I just throw them right in the trash can.
And what are you going to do?
It's like, okay, I have the option of just typing a phrase and getting what I need in seconds, or flipping a book.
Right. I'm going to type it in.
And the reality is, do you know why they're still in business?
Why?
Because companies still pay them.
Yeah.
If companies were like, okay, wait a minute, nobody's using those anymore, and they stopped paying for it, they would be obsolete. Nobody would use them anymore.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, but there are people out there that obviously can be sold, and they're good salesmen people.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we still have they talk about their demographics, and there are still people that use them. Like, my parents probably have a Yellow Pages, right?
Sure, yeah.
Because to them, it's easier to go flip a book than it is to walk downstairs and sit in front of the computer. Like,
sure.
Unlike you and I, we've got these devices where we're doing it like right here, and they are actually going, oh, my mom's like, I don't want to really walk all the way downstairs
Yeah.
and then have to turn on the computer.
Yeah.
And then I got to pull up Google.
Right.
You know, they're just like, oh, Yellow Pages is easier than White Pages, right?
Yeah, so there's still a demographic for it.
Sure.
We can't be, so quick to say that there's not a demographic. But I will tell you that it's not my demographic.
No, your demographic, like I said, uses them for booster chairs and thrones.
And thrones. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, when it comes to business, obviously the first thing that companies need to do is they've got to have a presence. If you want to be taken seriously, especially by the younger generation, you have to have a presence online. Now, that's the first thing. The second thing that you helped me with a lot, and this is so funny, I still actually tell people this story. I'm like, hey, John, I really need help rebuilding my site, allaboutdriveways.com. And you were like, yeah, sure, man, that's no problem. Let's meet. So we met. This is actually early on in our friendship.
Yeah.
We met. And John didn't even look it up. I don't think you even looked it up because you were like, yeah, we'll just talk. I'll just see it when I get there. Right. And it took me like literally, I rebuilt that thing 3 times before this time. And it takes months. Like it's not an easy site to rebuild. And there's the theme that, I did to start my business. I learned how to do coding and all that stuff myself.
Yeah.
I would never, ever do that again.
Yeah. It was noble.
I will never do that again.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that I built the site first in HTML. Did I ever tell you this? I built the site in Dreamweaver the first time.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the second time, I rebuilt it in Dreamweaver, HTML site.
Right.
And then a friend of mine was like, dude, you really need to catch up to the times. There's a thing called WordPress. You can rebuild that in WordPress. And I'm like, what's WordPress? He's like, you really need to study it. So I did.
Yeah.
And I rebuilt the site in WordPress myself. And it took me probably a year.
Wow.
And I got it built. I did all the SEO on it. I learned SEO. I got it built. And it has done very well for me since then. Now, today, that site gets anywhere from probably around 400 to 500,000 visitors a year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And but the funny thing is that we sit down in this coffee shop and I pull up my site and John was like, the look on his face was priceless. He was like, go look at it right now. You can go look at it. You can laugh. It's okay. I don't mind. He goes, that's your website? I go, yeah. And he goes, you get 30 to 40,000 visitors a month on that? I go, yeah. And you go, hands down, my generation is clicking on and clicking off that in a second.
Immediately.
Yeah. You were like, did you build that this is the funniest part. You go, did you build that in the 80s?
Man, I was so mean. I do remember this conversation.
Yeah, it was so funny.
I'm brutally honest. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. But the thing is like, I feel like I have to be, Yeah. And especially with someone like you, like I and this was, you're right. It was very early on in our friendship. But I figure in any capacity, honesty is the best policy, right? Especially when you're doing business. And if I'm being honest with you, that's my opinion of the site, and it needs some love, it needs some work. And I know that there are other people out there who need the same thing or don't even have a website. Even if it looks like it was built in the 80s, they don't have one.
Yeah.
Well,
and what I find interesting is a lot of times not even my generation, the older generation that are still in business, they're in their 60s, they're getting ready to retire.
Yeah.
Man, they are just fighting that. Like we met with another company and I love the guy to death, but he was just like, I just don't think people really even go to the website for this. And you're like, you have no idea how many people really do.
Yeah.
Like your generation, if they don't have a website, they are not finding you.
No.
And you guys are the ones that are out there buying houses and things like that.
Yeah,
so
we're trying to.
If you've got a real estate site or a title site or a mortgage site, you have to be prepared for the millennial generation. If you don't have a website, you're not getting any of that business. A. B, if you have a website and it's antiquated like mine at allaboutdriveways.com, you're missing out on those people.
Yeah.
And it's only getting more and more and more.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Without a doubt. It's crazy because you I guess the older generation, like you said, a lot of them are that way. And I guess really the only thing that needs to be said about it or should be said about it is that having a website might not have been important 30 years ago or even 20 years ago, but we're in an age now where it's a necessity. You have got to have presence online.
Yeah, here's a good analogy. Back then, you weren't in business if you didn't have a Yellow Page ad.
Bringing it back. That's right. That's true.
They
No.
were not in business if they didn't have it. If you didn't have a Yellow Page ad, I remember when I started my paving company 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Over 20 years ago. I remember I wanted to name my company with an A so that I came up in the A. That's no joke.
That's awesome.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's insight.
So I started the company. I started it with an A. I'm not going to say the name now, but I started it with an A because if somebody went to the Yellow Pages, I wanted to be close to the top as I possibly could.
Right.
And the bottom line is if I didn't have a Yellow Page ad, I wasn't even in business. And people looked at it, my generation and the little bit older generation, and probably a little younger, we looked at that also as a form of what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of like if you have a website, it brings a bit of not trust, but
it validates.
Validates you, right?
Yeah.
So if I didn't have an ad in the Yellow Pages, people would literally go, "Yeah, I didn't find you in the Yellow Pages." Just like people today say, "I can't find you online."
Yeah.
There's a little bit of you tend to trust a company more if they've got a website or they're visible online. Right?
Oh yeah, and it's not only that. You can go to, and like I told you when we sat down and talked about all about driveways, we looked at it and I said, well, yeah, you have a website, but it looks like it was built 20 years ago or 30 years ago, right? Well, that doesn't help anybody either.
No.
If you don't have a website that looks current, looks like it's competing in a modern marketplace,
Yeah.
you're not doing yourself any favors.
And look, here's one thing that I think is important too, because I think the older generation, they're used to being sold by so many people that your generation comes in and tells them something like that, and they're like, "Yeah, that guy's just trying to sell me on coming up with a newer, updated." And that's not the truth. It's the truth is it really is true.
Yeah.
That your generation is looking at something and saying, how user friendly is this?
Yeah.
I mean, what is it? I've heard that we have less than 5 seconds to grasp their attention.
Yeah, it's ridiculous now. It's crazy.
So I see what you're talking about. If somebody goes to allaboutdriveways.com that's in your generation or younger, they go and they click right off.
Yeah.
Right. They just look at it and go, "This is old."
Yeah.
Or whatever in their mind. I mean, they process things probably very quickly.
Yeah.
If they don't see something, and that's a whole nother, topic we could get into is the SEO and the online marketing and how to capture those people the instant they go to your site.
Yeah.
But it's true. You have to have an updated, current look and feel. And I've got a friend that I was actually I'm kind of bummed out. He actually had somebody else build him his website months ago. If Dwayne's watching, I'm sorry. And the guy that built it for him still isn't finished. Months ago.
Jeez.
And he said, "Man, should this be taking this long?" And I said, "Well, if it was my guy John, it would have been done already.
Yeah.
You'd be up online and working."
Yeah.
And so I don't know what's going on there. I'm a little concerned for him. But anyway, the bottom line is that he said to me at one time, "I hate." I'm not going to say the name. The search engine, the main search engine out there. He goes, "I hate them." He's like, "They're always changing things. Why don't they just leave it?" And I'm like, well, unfortunately, we are in the very early stages of the internet is a baby still compared to what it's going to be.
Right.
So things are going to constantly change. And unfortunately, you have to keep up with those times. If you just plan on budgeting the same way you used to budget for Yellow Pages, the older generation.
Yeah.
And I'll stop talking about them in a second. But I do think it's an important segment.
Absolutely.
Of our businesses that they really need to pay attention to younger generation like you as to what needs to happen. But the bottom line is that he's like, it changes and I have to spend all this money. And well, first of all, if there's things that if you this is another thing too. If you hire the right developer, they're going to do things to set you up for success down the road.
Yes.
There's some developers that are going to do things that are going to hurt you in the future more than help you.
Right.
And one of those things could be when a person has a website built. And right now, let's be honest, WordPress is probably the number one, isn't it?
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, just in terms of a platform with good usability for people who maybe aren't inclined to learn how to code or anything like that. If you're having a website built and it's built in WordPress and it's handed off to you from your developer after it's built out, it's so easy to go in and change certain things and add content and do all that stuff as a consumer. And it used to be that you had to pay a developer for everything, any changes, anything that happened to a website. Well, now it's been made more user friendly, more consumer friendly, really, and I think that's to everybody's benefit because truth be told, I don't want to be managing every single site that I build. You know, I want people to be able to feel empowered to manage it themselves. And if they need help, I'm always here.
Yeah.
You know, I'm never going to say no to somebody if they need help with it. But the reality is it's easy enough that even those people who are used to the yellow books could manage their website now through WordPress.
Yeah. Well, look,
that's why I use it.
I do get emails from people, hey, can you change this one word? And it's frustrating because you have to log in, you have to find that one word, and you got to do it. And I don't charge people for that.
I don't do that either. Yeah.
You know, I mean,
5 minutes of my time.
Yeah, it's
okay.
So, but the reality is that that's the thing about WordPress is they can go in and do that themselves.
Yeah.
So one of the things I was talking about was child themes. You know, so the way WordPress works is it's really just it's a CMS, right?
Yes.
And then you have what's called themes, and these themes are what make your site look the way that they look, and you can customize these themes so that it looks the way that you want it to look. So that if you buy a theme, it doesn't look like every single person that bought that theme. You can customize it to you, or your developer can. And then you can literally go in and write paragraphs and do blog posts. And it's it's actually a very user-friendly platform.
Super user-friendly. It's my favorite way to build websites. And I actually, like you, I learned how to code HTML, CSS a long time ago when I started out. So 10 years ago when I was first starting to get into websites, I was doing HTML, CSS. I was building in Dreamweaver. I was writing in, Sublime Text and Coda and other programs like that were geared towards developers. And as soon as I kind of got on the WordPress train, I was like, oh my God, it's good to know the code. Don't get me wrong, your developer should know how to code things by hand. But WordPress has taken a lot of that need away to, unless you're really getting crazy and changing things about the theme, which is what you're talking about with child themes. It's become more user-friendly for everybody, for developers and for consumers alike. So that's why I use it. That's why I use it for every website build that I do.
I think that's really, quite frankly, a hard market to break into to try to get a lot of people like Wix. Like, man, I can't imagine how tough it is to try to break into that market.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's got to be difficult. And there's other options out there like Wix that are very user-friendly, but people don't understand the limitations that those platforms, have as part of it because they're so templated and so user-friendly on the back end that they can't really have all of the cool bells and whistles that a developed site like on WordPress or any other CMS really would have. Like dynamic number integration, if anybody knows what that is, or features like that in a website. You can't really do that with a Wix site or a Squarespace site. So,
really?
Yeah, really.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
So we were talking about child themes.
Yes.
And that's the importance of a child theme, because I will tell you that All About Driveways is built on a theme that I didn't do a child theme.
Oh.
So that was how many years ago now? 5 years? 6 years?
Sure.
So I didn't do a child theme. And now, all of a sudden, they're going to update PHP, and this theme is not compatible with PHP. Had I built a child theme, I'm sure I probably could have gotten an update to the theme.
Yep.
And then I would still be able to use that. Now, granted, I'm rebuilding it myself because I wanted to save the money. Please don't take that personal.
No problem.
My site's huge, guys. Please don't even, when I say that, don't compare it to a website for a small company.
Yeah.
That website is enormous. It took me over a year to build it.
Yeah.
Whereas John can do one in...
I don't know, man. It dependent on the client, depending on how much information I'm handed. If you've got stuff ready to go, I can build a site out in a week, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Have a first proof back to you in no time.
Yeah.
You definitely live within a month.
Right.
Not 3 or 4.
And so people understand that doesn't include search engine optimization.
No. Yeah, no, that's just a basic site build. It's like an informational site build.
Yeah.
Usually what I tell people is if they're looking to have a basic site build, it's usually, 5 main pages, maybe 5 or 6 sub pages to that. Contact page, about, home, services, all that good stuff. Nothing that's super dynamic, but just a place for people to go and learn about your company and what you do and the products or the services that you offer and how to get in touch with you. And that's it. And that's really all you need as a small business, unless you are selling products online or doing something like you, or you're getting all these driveway companies to kind of pool together and helping people find a solution for their need in that terms of a project like that.
Right.
But yeah, a small informational website like that, it shouldn't take that long to build. I mean, if you have the information ready to go and you kind of know what you're looking for as far as the style, I can whip something up in no time.
Yeah.
in no time.
Yeah. And so you build the sites, and that gives them the credibility they're looking for of having a presence online, and that's what the word I was looking for earlier was the credibility. It adds credibility, right? So you would add their credibility online, but then if they want to try to generate leads from their website, I mean, they're going to probably generate some.
I would hope so.
But if they're going to try to generate, if they're going to try to build their business off of that, then they need to hire somebody that's seasoned professional in search engine optimization.
Yes.
And that's the other thing that I wanted to talk about, getting ripped off, because there are a lot of people out there that claim that they are SEO experts.
Yes.
Now, I know SEO, and I've been able to do it for my company. I mean, I've actually had people when I was hosting with that other company we were talking about.
Yeah.
That one of the things that made me nervous was I called this guy and he was like, "Yeah, let me take a look at this." And he was like, "Holy cow, are you kidding me? You get that much traffic?" And I go, "Yeah." And he's like, "Man, how'd you do that?" A guy that worked there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Okay, is he going to take my site and replicate it and steal it? Is he?"
Yeah.
I mean, there's a certain, obviously I'm sure vulnerable to that.
Yeah.
But anyway, and I get people all the time that will email me. And granted, mine's a national site. It's not a site just for Denver.
Right.
Or for San Diego. It's a national site. It's hard to optimize a website on a national level.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that I pulled it off, I'm still amazed.
Yeah.
I did pull it off. Now, is it the top website everywhere? Absolutely not. No. There are some places that I optimize that it doesn't even come up on the first page. Then there's other places that I've optimized it, and it comes up on the first page of search results.
Awesome.
And if I could figure out how to get it to come up on the top of all of them, that'd be fantastic. But anyway, but there's people that will actually email me and call me and say, "I can get you first page search results," and I'm like, it's just so frustrating to me, because it's like, that's not the way that you would do it. You would say, "Hey, how would you like to be at the top of the search term that gets 50,000 searches a month? How would you like me to get you the first page search results of that?" Then I'd be like, okay, this person knows what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. And I would consider it. But people, this is the thing. You have to find somebody. First of all, you want to find somebody that has the results that you're looking for.
Right.
So if they can show you websites that are first page. Now, I'm not talking about search terms that are not searched a lot.
Right.
If you talk to somebody and they say they know SEO, tell them that you want to see what the search term that they can get you on that has a lot of searches, right?
Right.
And then see if they've got a company that matches that. And you can do that, right? You can go do, like, through, I believe it's Google now, you can do keyword research, and you can see how many searches a keyword or a search term is getting.
Yeah.
And you can find the right ones. And if you get somebody that can do that can accomplish that, they're probably pretty good at it. Now, but you got to be really careful. And here's the part that's frustrating about SEO.
Yeah.
Is that if you go to hire someone, every single company, I don't care who they are, I don't care what results they've gotten, they're always going to have a caveat in their contract that says, "I don't own Google or Bing or whatever. Therefore, the results that I get you, I can't guarantee."
Right.
I cannot guarantee you results. That's scary.
Yeah.
That's like signing a contract and telling somebody, "Hey, I want you to remodel my kitchen with an open-ended amount."
Yeah. It's a gamble, for sure.
It's totally a gamble.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about that, people need to be really careful about who they hire for search engine optimization. And I have only found a handful of people that are really, really good at it, and they charge quite a bit for it.
Yes, and for a good reason. They're good at what they do, and there's a lot of other people, like you're talking about, who kind of know how to do it and will put the time and effort into trying to make money off of it. But I would argue that the majority of those people are just middle of the road, and that's fine. But it's scary to get a contract that says, like, I can't guarantee something, but we're just going to give it a go.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
And there's nobody that's not going to not guarantee it.
Yeah.
There's no one. If somebody tells you they guarantee it, you don't want to go with them.
Yeah, that's the one to not go with for sure, because there is no guarantee. It's something that I think is easy. It's easy to be sort of led astray in the world of SEO, because it's not something that the a common person really has a knowledge about, or how it functions, or how that sort of thing works. You can't really just pay a certain amount of money and get to the top of a search result. There's all these things that search engines like Google or Bing or whoever, they use these quality index scores where they are not just looking at the URL, but they're looking at the content on your site. They're looking at sort of everything about the way that your site disseminates information to the consumer to say, like, yes, this is a quality lead, or no, this search result needs to go back further because it doesn't seem like it's as legitimate. And so there's all these little factors that go into it. And somebody like Patrick knows what those factors are, and he charges what he charges, which is a good amount because I've seen it, but he's good at what he does because he understands those factors. And the people that are good at SEO understand those factors, and they know that they cannot guarantee something. They know that they can play around with those factors and try and get you the results that you're looking for, or as close to it as possible, right?
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And quite frankly, it's very rare that I will do it.
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody's willing to pay to do it, then I'll do it, because it's seriously a crazy amount of work, and it takes a lot of thought, and it's a lot of planning, and I'm not even Google certified. Yeah. So I'm probably more of the middle of the road type of SEO guy, where there's a lot of people out there that are Google certified, and from what I understand, it's a pretty credible thing to be Google certified. I don't think Google just puts their name on somebody's SEO practices unless they know they're good at it.
Yeah, it's something that I know that I actually did some Google certification at my last in-house job that I had before I went solo, and those tests that they give you to certify you are no joke. Like they make sure that you understand their product and how it works, and you better know it top to bottom before they give you that certificate, because I mean, it's Google's name.
Yeah.
And they're a big enough company and have enough of a reputation that they're trying to protect it, and rightfully so. You know?
Yeah, for sure. Well, and the crazy thing is that it's even from an SEO standpoint, you watch all of their videos and you learn how they want you to do SEO, but they never tell you the secret.
No. Why would they do that?
Yeah, because
it's a competition.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a secret that no one ever really knows. Maybe there's probably multiple ways to get there, but it's a scary thing.
It's a practice.
Yeah,
it is a practice. It's not something that is concrete or solidified by science or research or anything. There's just these factors that we know to be true, and we work towards making sure that those factors are being met, and hopefully, everything goes right and the search result pops up on the first page, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the crazy thing is I've gotten some people perfect results, and I've gotten some people horrible results, but I did the same thing,
right?
In just a different area. It's the weirdest thing. It's so difficult to know exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually worked really closely with the SEO team at my last in-house gig, and constantly I would hear the head of that team saying, "Oh, I got to get on the phone with Google again because something's not working, and we're putting all this money and this effort, and we're using these particular keywords, and nothing's changing." And it happened from time to time. So sometimes it's not even user error. Sometimes it's just you got to get on the phone with Google and hash it out with one of their reps and figure it. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Interesting. I never knew that.
Yep.
Wow.
So
on that note, this is another thing that I think that people need to look for in their developer, is a developer that understands SEO enough that they are building a site that's SEO friendly.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Because I made the mistake. I don't even know if I told you this. I've been rebuilding All About Driveways myself. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. I have a developer that helped me build the first ones, and he's helping me with a ton. He's doing all the heavy, all the stuff that I just don't have time to do. And the funny thing is I bought this theme because I loved how it looked, and I loved a lot of the functionality in it. But as I've gotten into it, it's not SEO friendly at all. So we have to go in and literally customize this theme so that it's SEO friendly. And it's crazy. You got to make sure that you if the person you're working with, if you purchase a theme, number one, that theme is SEO friendly, and if it's not, you got to work with a developer that knows how to make it SEO friendly.
Yes.
And that's the good thing about you is that you know those things.
Yeah. Yep. I would never tell anybody that I'm an expert in SEO, because I am not. I am definitely more geared towards the development side of things and the visual side of things, and that's why I leave usually SEO up to somebody like you.
Or you look at their site and go, "That's your site."
That's your site, yeah. Yeah, I'm really honest. And that's why I don't ever offer that as a product to my clients unless I let them know up front, like, hey, this is something that I know somebody who does SEO. I don't do SEO, and I would never pretend to know how to do SEO as well as this person does. But I have somebody who could really help you if that's something that you think is critical for the build on this site. And at the end of the day, it's super important, like you said, especially if you're running your business through this website and you want the traffic to be there because that's how you're generating leads. But the reality is if your developer knows enough to get you started, that leaves you in a good spot for if you want to down the road hire somebody like Patrick or somebody else who does SEO and have them, fix the content on your site and make it that much more SEO friendly, as opposed to not having a developer who knows anything about it at all to begin with. So
yeah. You keep saying Patrick. Do you know another Patrick?
No, you.
It's me.
It's just you. It's just Patrick Mattingly.
I don't really want to promote my SEO services.
Well, don't call Patrick about SEO then.
I'll do it if you're willing to pay.
There you go.
And but I the truth is I will only do a couple, maybe a year.
Sure.
If it's somebody that is a friend of mine or whatever the case may be.
Cool.
But,
well, I'm glad I'm tapped into that.
Yeah. There you go. So I think that's another thing that people need to look for is they not only need to find a developer that knows enough about SEO that they can make it so that they set an SEO person up. Really, what it boils down to is that if I take your website or I take another developer's website who knows nothing about SEO, I'm just gonna have to do a lot more work with that guy. It's gonna cost a lot more money to do this or the SEO.
Exactly.
Than it would be with somebody that knows how to at least get it set up for success.
Exactly.
It's just the work involved and the time involved is really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
And the less they know, the more work that it's going to be.
100%.
So, and that's where you pay. But you have to find somebody that knows what they're doing. And there's a handful of people out there that really do know what they're doing that I've seen.
Yeah.
But I've seen them, I've seen a lot of them charge people and they don't really know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they didn't get any results. And the next thing you know, they're spending a fortune with Google Ads, which, hey, Google Ads work.
Yep.
I'm not saying anything negative about it, but you're going to pay, and that money could have been easily spent on SEO and a combination of both, and rather than just, relying solely on Google AdWords.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
But what else is there? I think that I think another thing that a person has to be prepared for as a business owner. You're not going to find somebody, well, I'm not going to say not. It's probably very not likely that you're going to find someone that you're going to be able to go, hey, build me a website, and they're going to do everything. You know your business. You know the terminology in your business. You know what pictures speak 1,000 words and what pictures don't. You know all these things. So you really have to sit down, and you could do that like with you. I'm sure you'd be able to sit down and draw a map of your website.
Yep.
Okay, I want a page that says home. I want a page that says about. I want a page. You can do that, and that's pretty easy, and you can do that with your developer.
Yep.
But you have to understand that you have to come up with that creative content. Maybe you don't have to come up with the pictures, but you do have to. I mean, you kind of do, because I know there's no one that can do what I do with All About Driveways. There's just no way. I know that I know what I'm looking for. But you have to write the content, the words of, and that's the tough part. And that right there, I would think, is a huge hang up for people that want a website.
Yeah, you know what's really funny is I was actually talking about this with my wife, Jordan, last night. Hi, Jordan. I think she's watching.
Hey, Jordan.
Hey, she's we were talking about it because my wife is also a professional creative, and so we were talking about how we've had this happen in recent history with some people in that, like, we'll get a project going. We'll say, hey, we need the content from you. We need some direction on photos. If you don't have photos that you want to use in particular in this piece, on this website, on this, listing presentation, whatever it is we're doing. And you'd be surprised how many business owners say, like, well, don't you write the content? Can't you come up with that?
Yeah.
And the reality is I could probably draft up some content for any business, but I will tell you right now, it is not going to be what you want it to be.
Right.
I'm not an electrician.
Yeah.
I'm not in construction.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything of that sort. I'm a creative, and my job is to make sure that you are visible online and you look good online. But as far as your messaging goes, I mean, that's your business.
Yeah.
So something that I think everybody should be wary of when talking to a developer too is if they say that they can, if they're willing to just take your idea and run with it, and they don't need copy from you or direction for imagery or what pages you need, be wary, because they're just looking to get a project started so they can get that invoice out.
Yeah.
Somebody like me, when I go and I meet with somebody to talk about having a website built, first off, I don't do anything until I've sat down and I've met with you and I've gone through your idea for the sitemap. What pages do we need? What's important to you? What do you want to share with people? Okay. Do you have the content drafted up? Do you not? If you don't have the content drafted up, I actually work with a content writer here in Denver who writes for like Inman News and the Denver Post, and she's amazing. And, if they ever need copywriting services, I offer up somebody else who's an expert at copywriting to do it, because I'm not an expert and I'm not going to pretend to be.
But to be clear, she has to have the copy sent to her in order to do it.
She will have a conversation with you. She'll call you and say, look, I don't know anything about, insulating, electrical in a multifamily unit. You need to tell me what about your services, in relation to that are unique to you, or why, it's something that you want to have on the site. There's going to be all these questions relative to your business and your industry and your people, your team. How you want your presence to look online and read is so important. It's so important. Yeah. You can't leave it to somebody else. And I'm happy when people leave it to me to a degree. Like if you can hand me the content and the images and you know what pages you want built out, I love running with it. Yeah. I will run with it and I'll make it look awesome. But I need the content, and I need to know that that's what you want up on your website, because otherwise we go back and forth and it takes 3 to 4 months.
Well, and the crazy thing is that when I was supplementing my income building websites, that was my biggest hassle. Was I would, I wrote a lot of it and I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
But I was able to get them a website up, you know. And if somebody wants, and here's the thing, is it really comes down to what separates you from your competitors, right? And if you approach your content from that angle, what do I do that's different than anyone else? And you can put that in a story in writing, and then you send it to someone like your friend Amy. Yeah. She can then probably put a lot of sparkles on it and make it sound much, much better. Right. Matter of fact, we did that with someone else we know.
Yeah. Yep.
I think he wanted her to write all the content, and she was like, "Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We ran into that
construction, right?
Exactly.
So we helped. We helped write the content.
Yep.
And then she went in and she put her, she polished it up. Is basically what it is. She's really good at that. Right.
She's amazing at it. Yeah.
And then she gave you that content, and you were able to go put it on the website.
Right. So
that's the other thing is you can't rely on somebody to write your content for you and to get the pictures for you. It is a lot of work.
Yes.
But I promise you, if you invest the time and you take the time, the end result will be 10 times better than you could probably imagine.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I honestly think that, there's just this idea that you can pay an expert to do something for you and they know top to bottom how to make it work without your input. But that's not the case with creative stuff like this. And people don't really think of web development or WordPress development or whatever as a creative outlet or a creative side of business, but it is, because it's solely visual. You need somebody like me who's a developer, who's a designer, or somebody on the front end to make it look good. But that doesn't mean that I do everything for you. You are your own business, and you have the expertise that I don't have, and I can make it look good, but you need to tell me what, like you said, differentiates you from the competition. What is your story? What is your expertise?
Yep.
So,
I mean, there's only so many ways you can write an article. Let's just say we were talking about roofing. There's only so many ways you can write an article about roofing, right? But you can change that article by what do you do that makes you the best? Why would I choose you? What would make me go, and I mean, let's be honest, there's not everybody really reads the content.
Yeah.
But so that's where the pictures come in.
Right.
And again, I've had people put stuff together for me that are pretty good, and they get me pictures and I'm like, doesn't quite tell the story that I was looking
Right.
for in that picture. So you have
Right.
to go out, and there's free resources to get stock photography.
Absolutely.
There's paid resources.
Yep.
I happen to pay iStockphoto.com a ton of money,
Yep.
but they have the best pictures.
It's a great resource. Yeah.
You know, I remember years ago when I was first building All About Driveways, they had nothing for asphalt driveways.
Really?
Yeah, nothing. I mean, very, very. There was so little that I had to do a lot of my own pictures. Today, they still have quite a bit, but they still don't have enough. you know.
Interesting.
So, but yeah, so I use them, and then I may use 123 RF.
Sure.
And there was another one I started with the other day, Dreams something.
Oh, Dreams Time.
Yeah, Dreams Time.
Dreams Time's cool. They
Yeah.
they have good free good resources. I don't know if they have any free ones anymore. I think
They
used
do
to.
have you can get, but you can't really use it.
It's kind of limited.
Yeah.
They're great. There's another one out there too. I don't want to give away all my secrets, but I like to use Unsplash a lot. If
Oh, wow.
people are familiar with that,
And
you
that's
should
free?
check that out. It's free. Yep,
Oh, no
commercially
kidding.
free, royalty free. Yep,
That's crazy.
it's amazing. And the photos that are on there are all submitted by users, and they kind of give up the rights to it as they submit it, so that you can use it for whatever project.
Wow.
They ask for shout outs and things like that if you're able to. If you're
Sure.
able to call the photographer out or give credit, of course, do it when you can.
Sure.
But they're a great resource if you want that sort of very modern Instagram-y style photography on your website. They're the resource for it.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Cool. Well, and I liken it to like the video. I did a video called How to Install an Asphalt Driveway.
Yeah.
And it's an 8-minute long video. And that took me literally a whole summer to put together
Yeah.
because I had to get the right shots.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I had to get the right footage that told the story I was telling,
Right.
which that's why it took me 3 months. You can't buy that. You still can't
No.
buy it.
No.
I could probably go to some stock video and I probably couldn't find the footage that I needed exactly to tell the story.
Sure.
So it's the same thing with a website. People have to be able to tell their story and then get the picture that matches the story.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you can't find it on a stock photography or free stock photography, then you're going to have to take some pictures yourself, and that's where you come in
Yeah.
with professional photography.
Yeah, so I do that as well on top of designing websites and doing print and digital design. I also do photography, and so it actually has worked out because we had a client that we were working with recently who has a business, and they had just renovated the inside and remodeled it, and they wanted some new pictures to go up on the new website to have everything sort of be ready to go and have that new and fresh look and feel to it. And so the good thing about my business is because I am a professional photographer on top of being a developer, I can go out and I can shoot business locations or stock photos, or like I do a lot of real estate photography on the side as well. And so it's more versatile for my clients to be able to have somebody who's got their hands in a couple of different pots. I'm not just a developer, I'm a photographer and I'm a designer and I'm all these other things that can help your business and help your project, become something that is amazing, and not just middle of the road.
Sure.
If you need the right imagery, if we can't find it, I can go shoot it.
Sure. And I was thinking about when I put together the video, How to Install an Asphalt Driveway.
Yeah.
I literally had my script and I wrote down, I need a video of this.
Yeah.
And I wrote down what I needed. So if somebody puts together their copy, right,
Mhm.
and then they put in there, I want a picture that shows this, and you can, and let's say you were doing it for me, and I wanted you to get pictures of installing an asphalt driveway. I'd probably be able to write down exactly what pic shot I want you to get, and you'd be able to get that shot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
and
Yeah.
it would look good.
Yeah. Well,
And
I
you
hope
know
so.
the lighting.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so funny because a lot of I actually am. That's part of the reason why it's taking me so long to rebuild All About Driveways, because I'm putting there's probably going to be about 1% of the original pictures on there. I'm putting all new pictures that are the right lighting, that look good.
Yeah. That's a big part of it too. And as far as like the timing goes, you are going to be swapping images out for a while.
There's already over 100 new pictures
Oh
on
my
there.
God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
It is. Yeah.
crazy.
I know it, man.
So, so anyway, when it comes to, I want to kind of do a synopsis of what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
When it comes to, online marketing, there's more things we can talk about
Yeah.
getting ripped off. But the main things you want to look for is, number one, when you purchase a domain name, make sure that you buy it with privacy protection. So
It's
that
only
you
like
don't,
$3 more.
yeah,
or something.
or with Google domains, it's nothing more.
Yeah, there
It's
you go.
It's
See?
the same price.
There you go.
And so you get the privacy protection. Is that what it's called? Privacy protection?
Yeah, it's privacy protection.
And it basically what it does is if somebody were to go to whois.com and
Yeah.
look up your website, it doesn't say who owns it. It doesn't have your address. It doesn't have anything.
Yeah.
Right. So you're not going to get inundated with, snail mail marketing. And
Yeah.
You're not going to get inundated with email marketing. You might. I mean, they can just put a random email address
Yeah.
in, and if you got a catch-all, you're going to get it. But,
Yeah.
so you want to make sure that you get a domain name that's got the right privacy settings. And then you also, moving from there, what else did we talk about? We talked about
working with a dedicated professional, whether it's SEO or development, somebody who knows the current market, knows the tools, knows the products, knows how to make a website or make the content on your website great and what it should be. There are a lot of people out there who might not be as upfront about their techniques, and there are people, like you said, who will send you a convoluted string of keywords that you can be number one in, but if you're not utilizing the tools that are out there to your benefit, if you're not going for something that is useful, then you're paying for nothing. You're not paying for anything. You're paying for you're getting ripped off.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, and here's another thing, by the way, I didn't even mention, and I don't know if people are still doing it today, but
Sure.
back in the day, there was a time when if I went to, say, a guy that was unethical, and I'd say, hey, I need a website, and they'd say, well, do you have a domain name? No, I don't have anything. They would then search out a good domain name, buy the domain name, and then in small fine print in the contract, I, as the developer, I own the domain name, and I'm going to build you the site. Well, then about 3 or 4 years later, you go, hey, I need to, I'm going to have somebody else build my website. They go, oh, well, fantastic. Good luck with that. I own the domain. Does that still happen?
I believe that it does. I being that I'm sort of the one who's setting my proposals out and stuff. I've never done that to somebody. I'm the type of person who's the opposite. Like, if I know a client's going to need a domain and it's very specific and it's available, I'll scoop it up. I'll buy it and I'll have it on my account. But as soon as you're ready to transfer it somewhere or do something with it, no problem. It's yours. What am I going to do with it?
Yeah.
I don't need you to pay me an inordinate amount of money just so you can have it.
No, I did that actually for Chris.
No, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a really good domain for him, and he was like, I thought that was taken. I was like, do you want it? He was like, heck yeah.
Yeah. Boom.
I'm like,
There you go.
million bucks and it's yours, buddy. Just kidding.
Easy.
Yeah. No, I'm going to give it to him, obviously,
Yeah.
because that's just not how I operate.
It's scummy, man. You can't just snake up somebody's great domain name and then sell it back to them at a.
Well, for $1 million, I might. But
I guess it depends on who we're talking about.
yeah. No, I would never do that. But that's the one thing that people need to also look out for as well. You go get your own domain name. Don't let somebody purchase it for you and give them the opportunity to take that domain from you.
Yeah.
I've had people actually call me and say, yeah, they told me that I can't have the domain name, and I have all that information on there, and I have to go through them to rebuild my site, and I lost business because of it. And I'm like, well, your new contract, make sure that you own the domain name from now on, and then let them rebuild it. But that's so unethical, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
So it happened a lot back in the day. Yeah, there was a lot of
it.
people that happened to. So,
I believe it.
So then the next thing would be is make sure that you write your own copy. Don't fall for somebody to tell you that they're going to write your copy for you, unless they're an expert. If somebody says to you, "Hey, I used to be in roofing, and I can build you an awesome roofing website because I know roofing," great. By all means, make sure they've really been in the roofing business, right?
Yeah, of course.
But if they haven't been in your industry, they're not going to know the little fine details that are important. So you got to make sure you write your own copy.
Yeah.
And like you said, you got to make sure you find a developer that understands, enough about SEO that they can set you up for success.
Yes.
And it's still really the framework. And find someone that is good at creative. Like, I'm terrible at creative. You're awesome at it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you are really. You're really awesome at it. And me, I'm just like, no, I'll make it look like it was built back in the '80s if you let me do your creative.
You're never gonna let it go, man.
Yeah. So those are the things you want to look for, and then of course, if you can't find stock photography that matches the story that you're telling, you can also go out and you can take pictures.
Yep. Yeah. Or if you've got a photographer that you work with, I've always told people, like, I'm a photographer. I'm happy to do it. But if you have someone that you work with regularly and have a good relationship with already and can get them to go do it, by all means.
Sure.
As long as we can work together to get the project done and get it done right, I don't care how all the resources come together, as long as they come together well.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned something about your wife does what now?
So my wife is actually a creative professional too. She's a
also
yeah.
On top of you.
Yep.
What's her prices? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. She
Is she cheaper than you?
Nah, she works in house for a local real estate brokerage, so she's not able to do anything through our business. But gotcha. She's awesome, and she's an art director, and
Cool.
Yeah. We live that creative life.
Yeah, you guys do, don't you?
Yeah.
Tell me real quickly, briefly, before we go.
Yeah.
Do you do anything with social media?
So I've dipped my toe in a little bit. I would not say that I'm an expert, even though I am a millennial and I kind of came up with social media as a platform as a teenager and as a young adult. I enjoy social media and I definitely know some ins and outs about it. But as a company, Anchor Creative does not offer any social media services publicly. I might do it here and there for friends, kind of like you do with SEO. But
Sure.
I think in terms of that's a booming industry, and that's something that people also need to be very dialed into as far as the people who are calling themselves experts or gurus in social media. There's a lot of ways to get ripped off with the social media product at this point.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I can see that. That's like, you can see that one coming.
Yeah.
know?
And you should, well, I mean, it like you said, the internet is still a baby, right?
Yeah.
And social media is even younger than the internet
Yeah.
because it's only been around for the last, 15 years or so.
Mhm.
And people are just now starting to learn that, there's certain privacy elements that need to be kind of adjusted. There's certain ways that the advertising works through these platforms that you really need somebody who's dialed in and knows how things are currently, not 6 months ago, not 2 years ago, currently, to do a good job for your social media presence.
And that goes to mention one other thing, and that is that I'm sure there are companies that do everything in-house. I'm not so sure that I would probably use a company like that for a couple reasons. Because number one, you're going to pay.
Oh yeah.
Number two, I just feel like I would rather find experts in each of those fields rather than go into an all-in-one deal.
Absolutely. It's the old adage, jack of all trades but master of none, right? You've got people who are doing all these different things in different arenas with creative in the web, right? But if you don't have people who are experts working on your stuff, then you're liable to miss out on opportunities, right?
Yeah.
I actually did a whole series of blog posts when I first started Anchor, when I first jumped ship and kind of was pushing my content out there. I did a whole series of blog posts on my website, and you can go to anchorcreative.com and read that. But it's just a series of posts about why it's important to have an expert in any number of cases, why it's important to work with somebody who knows graphic design, who knows branding, who knows websites, who knows social media, and sort of my perspective on why it's important to work with an expert as opposed to just kind of going with whoever's got the cheapest price tag or seems like they're going to give you the best result, because it's not always so concrete.
Most of the time, it's actually you end up with a headache. It's kind of like I look at companies that call me, hey, how can I get on your referral list? And I'm like, what do you do? Well, we do driveways, we do driveway installation, but we also do roofing. And I'm like, really? Yeah. No, I'm not so much into that. You know why? Now, if they say, well, my son's an expert in roofing and I'm an expert in driveways, I would say, well, why don't you start a business in roofing and separate it from your driveway company?
Right.
Because it just makes more sense. They're two completely different things. And I think that SEO and development, like you do, and then what was the third thing we were talking about?
Copy.
The copy, that stuff. And social media. Those should be just different experts.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think that people. I'm probably gonna. Some people may be listening, especially the older generation, and I'm overwhelmed them now. All of a sudden, they're like, "Well, where do I start?" Start with a website.
Yeah.
You don't have to write a ton of content. Just get a website. Yeah. And then you can worry about getting better content, and then hiring somebody for SEO, and then hiring somebody for social media,
right?
And getting all that done. So
and if you work with a quality developer to get your website up, they'll know people. They'll have a network of people that do all those other things,
like you do.
Yeah, exactly. I have people who do SEO. I have people who do social media. I have people who do content. I don't do any of those things, but I can point you in the right direction, and I can make sure that the money that you are spending is going to be spent in a way that is valuable for your dollar and hopefully valuable in the long term for your business.
That's cool.
Yep.
Yeah, good for you, man.
Thank you.
That's cool. Well, hey, I appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, you bet, man. I hope that someday soon you can just host a show, and I don't even have to be here.
That'd be great, man. I'd be all for it.
But we just have to have somebody answering the phones. Not that they're ringing right now. Yeah, but they will.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. It's just going to take some time. I mean, that's the bottom line. Is we're going to build this. We're going to be here.
Yep.
Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10, unless people want to comment on the video.
Wasn't it Saturday? Was it Monday, Wednesday, Saturday?
I'm sorry, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday.
Yes.
Thank you for catching that.
Yeah, no problem.
But hey, comment on the video and let us know. Or if you're listening to the podcast, please send us an email, text us 866-966-2287, or call us. Let us know when you think is a great time and day to be doing these shows so that people can call in and we can help as many people as we can. That's my goal.
Yeah.
I just want to help people get resolution with horrible companies.
Yeah.
And so that's really what the show is all about. And so we'll be here. We're going to be here consistently. Obviously, if I have nothing to talk about and I'm going to bore you to death, I won't do that. But we're going to be here, hands down, every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So
awesome.
Thanks for watching. Do me a favor before you shut this video off. Don't hold on. Don't go anywhere. Do me a favor, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then, of course, click the little bell so that you can get notifications when we either go live or when we upload a new video.
Right.
If you're listening to the podcast, please do me a favor, subscribe to our podcast. And then, of course, do me a favor, go to Facebook and like us on Facebook, and that's Trust Patrick. And then, of course, Instagram. We're also on Instagram, and, of course, Twitter. So just search in Trust Patrick. You'll find me. It's right there. You'll see the same logo. It's the little green and gray shield. We appreciate you watching. We appreciate you being a part of what we're doing here, and I hope that we get to hear from you on a phone call or texting us in the future. So thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
People can contact you and get a website.
Yeah, if you want to reach out to me, again, my name's John Hormachea. I'm with Anchor Creative. It's ANKOR Creative. You can go ANKORcreative.com and reach out to me there and see some of my work.
Cool. Do they have a phone number?
Yeah, phone number is 303-579-5967. Feel free to call or email or visit the site.
Yeah, sounds good, man. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me today.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
You got it, man.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks.
Take it easy.
You too.